Welcome back. Excuse me. Welcome back. We're going to continue our study in Daniel chapter 3 with Nebuchadnezzar. Again, as we started this study, we were conveying from the word where we are in Bible prophecy, where we are in history. The Bible showed us that as Nebuchadnezzar wanted the world to worship him, he was representing the beast. Whereas today we have Christianity, and specifically Catholicism, has the world wanting to worship it. And it's combined now, the fact that you have a situation with the Vatican whereby the office of the Pope is the head of the Catholic Church, as well as the head of the country that is the Vatican. So you have an office of the Pope that's the head of the Catholic Church and the head of the Vatican. Now, Christianity, as you see it right now, you can name any denomination. Let's take Mormons, let's take Baptists, Pentecostals, SDAs, Jehovah's Witnesses. All of those denominations came into existence after the Catholic Church. Let me say it again. Any Christian denomination that you want to name, anyone that's in existence right now, came into existence after the Catholic Church. Why is that important? The Catholic Church was the first religious organization of Christianity. Before the Catholic Church, there was no organized religion of Christianity. The followers of the Messiah did not call themselves Christians. There are 3 instances in the Bible where the word Christian is used. In none of those 3 is it mentioned that the followers should call themselves Christians. In fact, in all 3 instances, and let's take a look at them. First, the book of Acts. In the book of Acts, let's see here. Acts. Let me go back. I'm going to Acts chapter 13. Acts chapter 13. I'm going to start there. That's the first place I see. Acts chapter 13. Is it 13 I want? Yeah, no, it's Acts chapter 11. Acts chapter 11. Acts chapter 11, I'm going to begin at verse, in Acts chapter 11, I'm going to begin at verse, let's see, beginning at verse 20. Acts chapter 11, beginning at verse 20 for context sake. Acts chapter 11, thank you, Superstar. I'm going to go there too. Acts chapter 11, beginning at verse 20. Some of them were men of Cyprus and Cyrene, which when they were come to Antioch, spake unto the Grecians, preaching YHWH, Mashiach. Now, Grecians were Greek-speaking Hebrews. They weren't bloodline Gentiles. They were bloodline Hebrews that spoke and lived among Greeks. They were called Grecians. And the hand of the master was with them, and a great number believed and turned to the master. Then tidings of these things came into the ears of the church, which was at Jerusalem. Again, many get confused. Church is not a denomination. Church is an assembly of people. In this case, The church is the believing Hebrews that lived in Jerusalem. So ears of this came to the believing Hebrews which lived in Jerusalem, and they sent forth Barnabas that he should go as far as Antioch. So the believing Hebrews at Jerusalem sent Barnabas, the Hebrew Levite, to investigate the believers, or not investigate, but to confirm the believers of the Messiah from the Grecians that were Grecians in Antioch. So they were Grecians, they were Greek-speaking Hebrews that lived among Greeks in Antioch, who, when he came and had seen the grace of Yahweh, was glad and exhorted them all that they should with purpose of heart, they would cleave to the master. For he was a good man and full of the Holy Ghost and of faith, and much people was added to the master. Then departed Barnabas to Tarsus for to seek Saul. And when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch. And it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people. And the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch. Again, there were Greek-speaking Hebrews at Antioch. And these were called, they said, the disciples, which means the followers of the master, YHWH. These are Hebrews that followed the Messiah. Not all Hebrews followed him, but these did. And they were called, did it say, I want you to see now, did it say they called themselves Christians? Or that they were called Christians? So they were Greek-speaking people that saw them at Antioch and called them Christianos. This wasn't what they called themselves. They were called Christians. Okay, now, from what Brother Superstar just shared with us, Acts chapter 26. Now you have Agrippa, Acts chapter 26. I'm going to begin Agrippa now. Agrippa is by tradition an Edomite. He is an Edomite. He is an Edomite convert to a religion called Judaism that is not a full biblical religion. It claims to use parts of the Bible as its religion, which means it's not biblical. Either you're all in on the Bible or you're not. You can't have some of the prophets and reject some of the prophets. People even try to do that today. But either you're all in on it or you ain't got none of it. So Judaism is a man-made religion. And these people that were practicing Judaism, among them was King Agrippa. Okay. I'm going to begin at verse 27 of Acts chapter 26. King Agrippa, Paul asked him, believest thou the prophets? I know that thou believest. Then Agrippa said unto Paul, almost thou persuadest me to be a Christian. And Paul said, watch Paul's answer. I would to Yahweh that not only thou, but also all that hear me this day were almost and altogether such as I am, except these bonds. Did Paul say you should be a Christian? Did Paul say I am a Christian? Or did Agrippa say you almost make me become a Christian? So again, the word Christian is used, but is not one of the Hebrew believers saying, I'm a Christian. Okay, Paul never said, and in fact, in 1 Corinthians, he said, if you have somebody that's a brother and they're doing evil, you could separate from them. He didn't say somebody that's a Christian, but he said somebody that's a brother. Okay. That's two of the three. Let's go to the final place we see it. This is 1 Peter chapter 4. So Peter is now, again, I just want to remind you, Peter, as Paul was the apostle to the Gentiles, Peter was the apostle to the Hebrews. So Peter, James, and John, according to Galatians chapter 2, were appointed by the Spirit to minister to the Hebrews that were followers of the Messiah. Paul was anointed to minister to the Gentiles that would become followers of the Messiah. Okay? So Peter is not the same as a Gentile follower of the Messiah. He's a Hebrew follower of the Messiah. So, right, like Weothesia. Weothesia, yes. Like Tito Bon Weothesia. That's correct. So now, let's take a look at Peter, 1 Peter chapter 4. So he really, the context starts in verse 14. Watch this. I'm going to read verse 14 and we'll read down to verse 16. If ye be reproached for the name of Messiah, happy are ye. So this is about being reproached. So in other words, if somebody reproaches you or makes fun of you or denigrates you for the Messiah, that's what he's saying. So if ye be reproached for the name of Messiah, happy are ye. For the Spirit of glory and of YHWH resteth upon you. On their part, that is on unbelievers' part, he is evil spoken of. Okay? Reproached is translated insulted. You be insulted for the name of Messiah, happy are ye. For the Spirit of glory and of Messiah resteth upon you. On their part, he is evil spoken of, but on your part, he is glorified. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as an evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters. So don't take reproach or insult because you're committing crimes. If you take insult because you're a follower of the Messiah, you'd be happy about that. But don't take insult because you're committing crimes. Verse 16. Yet if any man suffer as a Christian, if you are insulted by being called a Christian, let him not be ashamed. Let him glorify YHWH on his behalf. So if you're called a Christian, don't be ashamed. Why would he have to say, don't be ashamed if somebody calls you a Christian? Why would he have to say that? Why can't he say, yeah, we're all called Christian? No, he didn't say that. He said, don't be ashamed if somebody comes up to you and calls you a Christian. That's right. It's a byword. It's a epithet, actually. Just like the word Christ is an epithet for Messiah. Why would it be called an epithet? Because that's how heathen and Greeks called the people that were followers of the Messiah. It was not what they called themselves. Paul said, I am a Jew. I am a Hebrew. That's what Paul called himself. Did he say I was a Christian? No. He said in Philippians chapter 3, I am a Jew. I am a Hebrew of the tribe of Benjamin. That's how he described himself. And he described Gentiles that come to the Messiah as grafted into the commonwealth of Israel. That's what he said in Ephesians chapter 2. He said, you were separated from the commonwealth of Israel, but now through Messiah you are brought nigh. You're brought near, okay, to the commonwealth of Israel. So never did he say you became a Christian. Never. So the word Christian is a man-made term from the heathen trying to place that name on the believers of Messiah. Now, in all of these three instances that we just named, it was never, and y'all can bear witness, it was never saying there's this organization of religion called Christianity. It was never saying there's a religious organization or institution called Christianity. In none of those instances. Why? Because it did not exist. The people who were followers of Messiah were either Hebrews that became followers of Messiah and were still Hebrews, or Gentiles who had no God but the false one and were now following the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob through Messiah. Okay? So that's how this operates. So now, but can we agree that the Roman Catholic Church is an organized system of religion? Is that true or not? Did I make that up, or is that a true statement? Is the Roman Catholic Church an organized system of religion? It is. It's called Christianity. It's an organized religious system of Christianity. Now, all of the Christian churches that exist that are not Roman Catholic became an entity after the Roman Catholic Church. So they became Christian. So let's say the Mormon Church is a Christian organization. The Baptist Church is a Christian organization. The Seventh-day Adventist Church is a Christian organization. The first Christian organization was the Roman Catholic Church. So from the Roman Catholic Church, all of these other churches were spawned. And how were they spawned? They were spawned at the beginning of protesting against the Roman Catholic Church. They had beef with Rome. So then you have Martin Luther get excommunicated, and his Christian organization became Lutheran. John Knox got excommunicated and eventually burned at the stake. And his followers were called Methodists. And so they became their own organized religions from the mother of their organized religions, the Roman Catholic Church. So the organized religion, in terms of Christianity, started with the Reformation. That's right. And the Reformation was the reason it was called reform. The word reform is in Reformation. What was that? They were trying to reform the Roman Catholic Church. That was the object of the Reformation, to reform the Roman Catholic Church. They were protesting against the Roman Catholic Church, and they were none of them was trying to leave the Roman Catholic Church. They were trying to reform the Roman Catholic Church. So, as we can now look back on history of the Roman Catholic Church, let me ask you a couple of very simple questions. Did the Reformation reform the Roman Catholic Church? Did the Reformation reform the Roman Catholic Church? Did the Roman Catholic Church decide to listen to the Protestant Church and change its doctrines to what the people protesting demanded? Did they say, we're going to hear your demands and we're going to change? They did not. They did not. But let me ask you this. Have the leadership of, let me just take the biggest ones that I know: Mormon, Jehovah's Witness, and Seventh-day Adventist, and Baptist. Let's take those are the biggest ones. And then I think we can include Pentecostal. As far as I know, these are the biggest religious Christian denominations that are not called Roman Catholic. Pentecostal, Baptist, SDA, Mormon, and Jehovah's Witness. Let me ask you a question. Have leaders of these various Christian movements given respect to the Pope of Rome? Have they given honor and respect to the Pope of Rome, or do they reject the Pope of Rome? They've all given. So can we say then, based on what we had just discussed, that Rome didn't change, but those that left to create their own Christian religion organizations, they conformed to Rome? So Rome didn't change, but its Christian offspring changed and conformed to Rome. As we were talking about, look up the video from Tony Palmer, who was the bishop that was supposed to be a Protestant bishop. And he brought the noise and said, there's no more protest. We just need to all come together. Nobody's protesting Rome anymore. We need to acknowledge the Pope as the supreme Christian. Okay, nobody's protesting anymore. So that's the situation. So all of the Christian denominations that you see right now, none of those, and we could say this for definite, none of Christian denominations existed at the time of the Messiah. That's what we're saying. There was no Christian denomination at the time of the Messiah. There was no Catholic Church at the time of the Messiah. There was no Seventh-day Adventist Church. There was no Mormon Church. There was no Jehovah's Witness Church. There was no Baptist Church. There was no Pentecostal Church at the time of the Messiah. What was there? There were Hebrews that were followers of the way. That existed. The Bible does substantiate that. That existed at the time of the Messiah. They were Hebrews that were followers of the way. Okay? So at some point, Hebrew believers in the Messiah were either by force or by death or by whatever, they were moved into the Roman Catholic version called Christianity. And eventually, the white Jesus that became the symbol of Christianity was the symbol of all the religious people that were Christians. But all of that came after the creation and establishment of the Roman Catholic Church. So now, you have a religious organization where you have the office of the Pope is the head of that religious organization, right? Right? Is that correct? So you have a Catholic, the Roman Catholic Church has as its head of its religious organization, which is a vast organization that includes both hospitals and schools and churches, buildings, right? And populations of people that are assemblies, right? So you have all of that, and they're under the leader, the acknowledged leader of all of that is in Rome, in the office of the Vatican. And not only is that man, and he's always going to be a man, not only is that man the head of the Vatican, the head of that vast organization of churches, assemblies, hospitals, schools, he's the head of a country because the Vatican is its own country. Okay? The Vatican is his own country. So now you have one man that's the head of a country and he's the head of a religious system. Now, we just said that all of the other religious organizations came after Rome. Rome was first. Then all the other religious Christianity organizations are daughters of Rome. Now, in the United States of America, okay, in the United States of America, there are people, especially, tell me if I'm lying to y'all, of the Republican side of religious Christianity that will tell you America is a Christian nation. Am I lying to y'all? Are there not, if you ask any Trump tard, is America a Christian nation? What you think they're going to say? They're going to say, absolutely, America is a Christian nation. They're going to believe that's it. In fact, do a Google search, is America a Christian nation? And you're going to hear all kinds of Republicans tell you, yes, it's a Christian nation. Then it goes a step further. There is this guy named Jared something. Jared, I forgot his last name. But if you ask people that, like Jared, not only is America a Christian nation, America's a white Christian nation. That's what they'll tell you. America's a white Christian nation. Jared Kushner, right? It's a white Christian nation. Am I lying to y'all yet? He'll tell you America's not only a Christian nation, it's a white Christian nation. So, and listen, why do you think they all following Trump for? These people believe America's a white Christian nation. So listen, why do you think he's kicking out all the Mexicans? You know what I heard today? Not only is he kicking, America used to be a place where foreign students can come to America and get their degrees. They've been doing that for decades, for scores of years. They've been coming from other countries and on what they call a student visa. And if you went to college in America, you always saw people from other countries that were at your college and they were there on a student visa. That means as long as they're students, they can stay in the country and they can get their degrees in the United States. And when they graduated from all their degrees, they had to leave. Okay. I went to 2 different colleges. No, that's not true. I went to 4 different colleges. I went to 4 different colleges. One of them was online, so I won't count that. But even that one. But the other 3 I saw a lot of students from other countries. And I was in, the first time I went to college was 79, 80, a long time ago. And back then, the United States had beef with Iran because of the hostages. There was hostages being held in Iran by the Ayatollah and them. And when Reagan came, they got them hostages back. Well, when I went to college, there was a whole bunch of engineering students that were in America on student visas from Iran. So you used to be able to, no matter where you was from, you could get a student visa from your country and you could study in the United States. Now Trump has just announced they're going to be sending back all foreign students. They're going to be sending them back. They're not going to allow you to stay here and study on a student visa no more. Okay, that's not going to happen. They already gave the wake-up call to the Cubans, sending them back to Cuba, the Venezuelans, sending them back to Venezuela. The Dominican Republic sending you back. It don't matter where you're from. If you're not white Christian, you better hold on tight because they're gonna strip you out of here. You leaving. Okay. They're already speaking like the dragon. So that's how this game is going. Okay, that's how it's going. Yep, they cut funding to HBCUs. I'm telling y'all, it ain't no joke. You know, so they're going to send you back to whatever country you came from, and they're going to revoke your student visa. Okay, they already said that. That was this week. So you can see the image to the beast is forming. Okay, it's already forming. Now, it comes to this. Some people got paranoid and said, well, they're going to kick black people out the country. They're not going to kick black people out the country that are born Americans that are descendants of slaves. If you come on a student visa from Nigeria, Africa, wherever, they're going to send you back. But if you were snatched and brought here and you're the descendants of people that were snatched and brought here, they can't send you nowhere because there's nowhere for you to go. Okay, so we're going to be here. And when a lot of us, which is already happening, start to awaken, so you can't send us nowhere. Where you going to deport us to? You done snatched us from the shores of Africa 400 years ago. So where you going to deport us to? We're here. We built the joint. And then you're going to get us awakening, and there's going to be a problem. Okay? There's going to be a problem. They're not going to know what to do with us. There's going to be a problem. The Most High got us, though. But that's what's this build up. Now, for them to create an image to the beast, that tells you in and of itself, you're talking about worship, right? Whosoever would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. That means you're dealing with the worship specifically of Christianity. You're dealing with the worship specifically of Christianity. So what can we expect? What you're going to get and what you are now getting in the United States is a revival of white Jesus Christianity. That's what you're going to get right now. You're going to get that whole Billy Graham style revival of white Jesus Christianity. You're going to see the religious leaders of white Jesus Christianity push that white Jesus Christianity, and people are going to be jumping on it. And the leaders of the American white Jesus Christianity, which is called the Christian conservatives. Have you ever heard that? The religious right. Have you ever heard that? That's what we got now. The Christian conservatives, the religious right, right? Why you ain't going to church, right? What church you go to, yeah, whatever. That's what they're going to be doing. That's what it's already starting. I remember that woman, Charlie Effect, just ran up to us. This was 2022. We had just got here, my wife and I, and we didn't even buy the house yet. We were here. My daddy was still here, and we walk in the neighborhood, and this fool woman ran up to us and said, "Trump's gonna be president again. Trump's gonna be president again." And I said to her, I said, "Man, not everybody, believes like you." She said, "We're gonna make them though." She said it just like that. We're gonna make them. Everybody's gonna go to church. She said that. And that's when my hairs on my neck went, and my wife tugged me by my arm. I was like, "Make who?" And my wife said, "Let's go, let's go." But she didn't even know us from Adam. And she walked up to us and said that. See, that's how bold it's going to get. That's how bold it's going. That was 2022. That was before he was even elected. Here we are. See, so you're going to see a revival of white Jesus Christianity. You're going to see people going back to church. Then they're going to allow Muslims that are accepted. You know, they're going to make sure you're not what they call it, radical Islam, but they're going to make sure you're just Sunni Islam and you cool. Or you're going to be Judaism, go into your synagogue and you cool. But the thrust of it is going to be white Jesus Christianity, and the United States president represents Christian nationalism. Y'all know that? That Donald Trump is supported by a large contingent, a combination of all white Jesus churches and assemblies that are called as a whole Christian nationalists. And I've heard politicians say the term. Are you Christian nationalists? Yes, we are. Christian nationalists, which means nationalism means that you're a nation. Nationalism, you're forming a nation. Christian means you're forming a Christian nation. Yep, the Duval's lady from Amway, that's not a Christian nationalist. The Supreme Court justices, Amy Coney Barrett and them, Christian nationalists. It's already here. The Most High is not allowing it to really develop the way it's going to because he's sealing us. Remember, what they do don't matter. What matters is our seal. To the Father, Yah. What matters is our seal. What they do don't matter. So when you see the Father allowing them to develop this Christian nationalist, which is the image to the beast, you already know he's about ready to seal us. Okay? He's about ready to put that final seal on us and let it go. Let the winds go. Okay? It's coming down now. So the example of all this is in Daniel chapter 3. As we said, in Daniel chapter 3, there was an image. In Daniel chapter 3, there was worship. And in Daniel chapter 3, there was a defiance by the Hebrews. And that's what we're getting ready to deal with now. See, you're going to have a lot of Hebrews. You got a lot of Hebrew bloodline in America. I can't even call them Grecians. They just straight followers of white Jesus, right? You're getting a lot of them. Straight followers of white Jesus. Some of them don't even know any better. Some of them sincere. But those sincere ones are the ones that's going to hear the call. Come out of her, my people. There are people that are serving white Jesus because they don't know no better. But when the spirit of truth comes from the 144,000, they're going to learn better. And some of them are going to come out. Okay? Some of them won't. Well, most of them won't. Some of them will come out from among them and be ye separate and touch not the unclean thing. That's what the Bible, the unclean thing being false man-made religion. See? So there you go. All right. So now we come back to Daniel chapter 3, and we see that the music was going to be played. All the top leaders of the kingdom were gathered together. Okay? All the top leaders of the kingdom were gathered together from all over the kingdom of Babylon. Now, here, I'm going to ask you all a question. There is a place where all the top leaders of the kingdom gathered together in modern Babylon. What place? What is it where all the top leaders of modern Babylon gather together? And they do it regularly. They gather together regularly. Nope, not the Vatican. All the top, thank you, Stephen Kelly. Do not all the world's leaders gather at the United Nations? It's called the United Nations. Isn't that correct? So isn't all like the United Nations sends what do you call that? Ambassadors and representatives from all the nations. And they ain't just nobody. Like they ain't gonna send no janitor representing this country to the UN, right? They got a UN ambassador, each country does, and they bring them to the United Nations. And the top 10 is called the G10. The top 7 is called the G7. But you got all 100 and something nations at the UN. All 100 something nations are there. Okay. And there are 2 countries, aside from the Vatican, that have all the Jews. One of them is obviously the United States. The other one is Israel. Everybody can vote one way, but if those 2 countries vote another way, it's the other way. And that has recently happened. There was a majority of countries, except 2. It was 100 something to 2 that said Palestine should be a state. And no, it wasn't that. It was said the sanctions against Cuba should stop. That's what it was. They were voting against the sanctions that are on Cuba. They said end the Cuban sanctions. And all the countries except 2 voted to end the sanctions. But they didn't end the sanctions because the 2 countries that voted against it were the United States and Israel. That goes to show you what's going on. The majority didn't rule. Okay, the majority didn't rule. So the majority of the nation said, well, we tired of punishing the Cubans. But those 2 countries said no. Keep them sanctions. See? So you're going to see more of that. And so this you're going to see within the nation of the United States, starting here. It's already started. The awakening of the Hebrews. And the Hebrews that are awakened are not going to be worshiping man-made religion. They're going to be worshiping the Creator. As the first message of Revelation 14 told us, worship him that made heaven and earth, the sea, and the fountains of waters. Now, if you're awakened Hebrew, you understand there's only one God. He is not the God of Christianity. He is not the God of any man-made religion. He is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And they're understanding that that's the awakening that's already going on. That's going to butt heads with the revival of white Jesus Christianity. They're going to butt heads. It's coming. Okay, so the awakening are going to butt heads with the Christians. We're not going to try to, but it's like somebody was saying, like Castle King, you go to church? Where you go to church at? What's your church? I don't never see you in church. You used to go to church. Why ain't you going to church no more? What are you in a cult? Are you in a cult? You're a Hebrew? Are you one of them black Hebrew Israelites? Are you with that? That's a cult. Are you in that cult? There you go. See? So that's coming. That's coming strong. As bold as that child of Yafet was that walked up to me and my wife and talk about Christianity like that, they're all going to become bold like that. You don't go to church. We've already had a couple of our neighbors say, we want to invite you to our church. You should come visit our church. It's coming, brethren. It's coming. We say, no, thank you. No, thank you. Then one man said, well, what do you follow? I said, I follow the Bible. Well, I do too, he said. I believe that the United States is the tribe of Ephraim. I'll never forget that. This child Yafet gonna tell me he think he is the child of Ephraim. I said, y'all are Yafet, man. Ain't no Ephraim come from Yafet. Y'all European. And he just, it's coming though, y'all. It's coming. Okay? It's gonna butt heads with the awakening. It's definitely gonna butt heads with the awakening. There's no doubt. So that's coming. All right. It's coming. That's what I was telling Tito Bon. Tito Bon, we owe Thesia. I'm going to get it. Tito Bon, we owe Thesia. I know it came from the Most High because I can't even say it. Tito Bon, we owe Thesia. I was telling him we got to act like Esther and Mordecai until the time. See, for such a time as this, we got to act like Esther and Mordecai. Don't let nobody know what you're doing, but they're gonna find out. You understand? They're gonna know what they're gonna find out. There's no doubt. We're not trying to force anything on anybody. We're not trying, and that's why, if you notice, I said to y'all many times, I don't want you sending money here. I'm talking about in general, like, don't be giving me no tithe money. Because people, first thing they're gonna say is, that Raw Hebrew, he's a cult leader. How much money does he make from that cult? Are you getting money from your followers? That's coming, y'all. That's coming. How many wives do you have? Are you molesting children in there? That's coming, y'all. That's coming. And that's why you've already seen camps of Israelites get exposed for molesting children, taking money, rape. There have been people that done that already and got busted. So that was purposely done. Why do I say that? Y'all remember the Black Panthers, right? Do y'all know that the CIA used to send messages claiming to come from Huey Newton to Eldridge Cleaver and telling him, you need to quit? Or somebody saying, so-and-so is messing with your wife, your boy. I just want to let you know. And they used to send pamphlets, false pamphlets that they claim came from the Black Panthers, telling people to do X, Y, and Z. They did this a lot. Do you think, let me ask you a question, you think these are private organizations doing this? Or government organizations? So, if you have government organizations that will send people and notes and put out false information, you think they've stopped doing that? You think they've retired from doing that type of sabotage? Yeah. So it's here, brethren. Don't worry. The Most High's truth and His Spirit is more powerful, but I'm just telling you what to expect as you take your stand for the awakening. What to expect? Okay, all of that's gonna come up, all of it. Okay, they're gonna be. So you took your money from that cult. It generates money. Have you claimed the money from your cult on your taxes? It's coming, y'all. Okay, I'm telling y'all. But the thing is that in spite of all of that, what I do know is that what grace I need and you need to take your stand like these three Hebrews did, the Father will more than abundantly supply. So you will have the grace that you need to take your stand for the Most High. You don't have to generate it from yourself. The Father Yah will send you. Didn't the Messiah say, don't think about what you're going to say. He'll send you the words that you need when you need them. Don't worry. He got you. When he say he got you, he got you. When you need grace and you need this power to stand, he will give it to you. Praise the Most High. Daniel chapter 3. Let's start at verse 7. So we finished at verse 6 in the last time. Let's start at verse 7. Therefore, at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, nations, and languages fell down and worshiped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Wherefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth, that he should be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Therefore, there are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. They don't worship like us. They're not following what we believe. They're a cult. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now, if ye be ready that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made, well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same out into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Now, notice the arrogance. I'm God. You're going to worship the way I tell you. And what God you serve that's going to deliver you from my power? Notice the arrogance. Now that is speaking as a dragon. That is speaking as a dragon. Who going to deliver you from my hand? That's what happens when men got power. You got the power of the military, the power of the people behind you. Who you worship? Yahoo. Let me tell you something. You better bow down and get out this cult. This cult ain't going nowhere. It's going to be destroyed. And we're going to destroy it. You know, nothing's going to stop us from ruling here. So you better bow down now. Just go with the program. Avoid the trouble. Avoid trouble. And follow what we're telling you to do. Just avoid trouble. Okay? Hey, listen. I'm Jewish too. You ever heard that? I'm Jewish too. I understand. Just avoid the trouble. See, I worship too. It's no problem. Just avoid the trouble. Don't be a part of this cult. I understand where you come from. I'm Jewish too. Verse 16. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this manner. In other words, we ain't got to think about it. No. We ain't got to think about it. These are brothers that were ready to die at that moment. Ready to die for the truth at that moment. This is where you need grace. That boldness came from the Heavenly Father. It came from the Heavenly Father Spirit. That boldness is what we're going to need at the time. We don't need to think about it. No. If it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, okay? That's who. Yahweh can deliver us. And if he wants to, you can't stop him. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, for we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. We're not going to serve you, white Jesus. No. Our God, Yahweh, can deliver us from you. But if he chooses to let us die, we just die. You know what Esther said? I will go unto the king, which is against his law. And if I perish, I perish. Isn't that what she said? I will go to the king that is not that against his law. But if I perish, I perish. Verse 19. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, the furnace was exceeding hot, and the flame fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast three men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see four men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. The form of the fourth is like the son of YHWH. The son of YHWH. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and a bad Negro, ye servants of the Most High Yahweh, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth out of the midst of the fire. And the princes, governors, captains, king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men, upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their heads singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the Most High of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own God. Therefore I make a decree that every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the Most High of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and the houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. So now, one Hebrew then told him what he was thinking, what he dreamt, and what it meant. Then three other Hebrews said, we ain't worshiping your gods. We got a God, and he could deliver us. And if he don't, we still ain't worshiping your God. And they survived the fire. So he's had two instances of very, I would say, strong signs of the Most High God of heaven, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, by the children of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So he's had two strong signs. But like the hard-headed, stiff-necked Hebrews, Nebuchadnezzar was hard-headed, stiff-necked. Not only that, he is worshiping man. He's still worshiping man. So he's got to know that there's a God in heaven that's higher than man. Daniel tried to tell him. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego tried to tell him. He kind of half got it. But now we got to go to the third rail. He had to go to the third rail. He had to go to the third rail. And when he did, he got the message. He caught the wrath after the third rail. You start messing around with the Father, y'all, too much. He give you some space, but then after a while, you gotta catch the message. If you don't, he got to pull out the switch, and you don't want him to pull out the switch. Isn't that right, brother? You don't want him to pull out the switch. Mike Check asked, how did Nebuchadnezzar know what the Son of the Most High looked like? Well, let me ask you. How did Peter, James, and John know what Elijah and Moses looked like? Because Elijah and Moses existed centuries before them. And when they came to the Messiah on the mountain, they said, it's Moses and Elijah. How did they know that? How did they know that was Moses and Elijah? Never seen them before. Definitely wasn't introduced to them anytime. How did they know that was Moses and Elijah? That's what. Excuse me. Good thing I got some water nearby. Well, let me ask you. Let me ask you another question. How do you know the Messiah exists? How do you know that the Messiah exists? Has you ever seen him? Has he ever walked up to you and said, I'm the Messiah? This is me. How do you know? How do you know his word is true? How do you know his word is true? How do you know you could trust his word? That's right. Thank you, superstar. You know by the spirit of conviction. That's right. Write my check. The spirit of Father that convicts you. So, James, Peter, and John saw Moses and Elijah, and the Spirit let them know this is Moses and Elijah. Nebuchadnezzar, the Spirit told him that's the son of Yahweh. Does that make sense? The fourth is the son of Yahweh. That's the son of Yahweh. So now he know he exists now. See, he know he exists now. He saw him with his own two eyes. He know he exists. Okay, that's the Messiah of the Hebrews. That's the Messiah of the Hebrews that came to deliver his servant that trust in him. Well, brethren, there you go. That's right. Witnessed by the Spirit. You see? So that's what it is. All of us, brethren, never forget. Don't get caught in a trap when somebody say, prove to me that there's a God. That's what the devil did with Messiah. If thou be the Son of God, do this. If you be the Son of God, do that. Don't ever get caught in that. We believe what we believe by conviction of the Spirit. You are not believing what you believe, though later you might theoretically understand from the word what you believe, which is good. But your initial trusting of the Father is from the conviction of the Spirit. Your initial repentance is from the conviction of the Spirit. Okay? That's what convicted you. And the same Spirit led you to his word. The same Spirit leads me to tell y'all, read the Bible. Start in Genesis and go through the Revelation. That's the same Spirit. See? So when somebody says, prove to me, I ain't proving to you nothing. I'm convicted. If you're not convicted, that's you, boo. Do you, boo? Right, Stephen Kelly? Do you, boo? If you're not convicted, do you, boo? Okay? If you're not convicted, do you? Okay? Praise the Most High. I can't do nothing for you. I'm not the Spirit. The Spirit convicted me. But if it ain't convicted you, okay. Never try to prove nothing to nobody, especially when you are convicted about something. Now, the word of the Most High, the Bible, substantiates your conviction. The Bible substantiates your conviction. Okay? The Bible substantiates your conviction. So in other words, you get justified in your conviction from the word. You understand? That's it. So that's how we know what we know and believe what we believe. It ain't like we need to go to carbon dating to prove, 6,000 years versus 6 million years. We're convicted by what the word said, period. Okay. And to me, as I said, when my son asked, what's the difference between your religion and everybody else's religion? I said, the spirit of prophecy, the prophetic word that teaches me what has happened, what is now, and what's coming is, to me, showing me I can follow this book. It's the spirit of prophetic word, because the Father is the only one that knows the end from the beginning. He's the only one that knows the end from the beginning. Before the foundation of the earth, the Father already knew who are the saved. Before they were created, before they were born, he knew who was in his book. And if you recall, when he gave Messiah the book is sealed, and no man was able to open it. Remember? No man could look at it and open it. Why? Because only the Father knows who's going to be in that book. He knows. Before the earth was created, the Bible says in the book of Deuteronomy, he already set a place for Israel. Before the earth was created, he already knew the 144,000. You think you was just born here because it's accidental? There's no such thing as coincidence with the Father. He knows it all from beginning to the end. He's not only in the present, he's in the past, and he's in the future, all at the same time. There's nothing new to him. There's nothing that he doesn't know. He just doesn't reveal it to everything at the time. He wants you to trust him. That's why the Messiah said, no man knows the day or the hour but my Father. Well, now he's revealed it to him. And guess what Messiah did? He revealed it to us. Okay? Praise the Most High. Father is all powerful. His spirit is all knowing. He's all powerful, all knowing. His understanding is infinite, the Bible says. He has no level of measure that you can do to measure how much he understands. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. That's it. I did see Donnell as, did the Messiah wash the feet of the disciples? What I read said he did. Said he girded himself and he washed the disciples' feet. That's what I read. And again, I'm convicted that if it says that, that's what he did. Again, that's why, if it says it, I see, this is the thing. Oh, he said, why? Oh, I got you. He asked, why? Well, it appears that he was humbling himself. You remember what Peter said? You shall never wash my feet. That's what Peter said. You shall never wash my feet. And he told Peter, if I don't wash you, you don't have no place with me. And Peter said, wash my head. He said, no, all I need to do is wash your feet. And he said, you see what I have done for you? I have washed your feet. So I have washed your feet and I'm your Lord. Therefore, you should wash each other's feet. It was an example of humility. I washed your feet and I'm your master. You should wash each other's feet as I washed your feet. Okay. Praise the Most High. So it was an example of humility to the disciples. Remember now, they kept having arguments about which of them was going to be the greatest one in the kingdom. That wasn't the spirit he wanted from them. That's right. He said, you should wash one another's feet. As I have washed your feet, you should wash each other's feet. You should humble yourselves among each other instead of competing with who's going to be the greatest. And listen, don't we all have that problem? All of us are used to competing. We're on our jobs. We're competing for advancement, right? We're in sports. We're competing to get our glory. We're always trying to compete. The Messiah says, stop competing with each other. You're all children of the Heavenly Father. You don't need to compete with each other. Serve each other. Be servants to each other. Praise the Most High. That's a whole different thing. He says, serve each other. Love each other. Be servants to each other. Your brethren. Yeah, that's right. So there's no competing in the kingdom. See who's going to be great and who's not. Everybody's going to be satisfied in the glory of the kingdom. And he's telling us now, don't try to compete in this earth with everybody, especially your brethren. You're not competing with your brethren. You are brethren. Okay? Serve each other. Help each other. Build up each other. Your brethren. Don't backbite, as Paul said, don't backbite against each other and kill one another behind their back. It sounds like a Christian church. Your Hebrew brethren of the same nation, the scattered nation. Praise the Most High. We should love one another, pray for one another, help one another. Yeah, praise the Most High. That's right. Steve together. Praise the Most High. So yeah, that's why he did it. Show an example of humility. That's right. Judas wasn't going to do that. Judas wanted that bad. He wanted that top spot. Right? That's the difference between Messiah and Asatan. Asatan exalts man and himself. Messiah serves his people. The whole messianic high priestly ministry is service to the saints. He is serving the saints by offering himself as the sacrifice for sins, and he is serving the saints by presenting his righteousness on behalf of his people. That's a servant. Praise the Most High. He has every right to say, I'll sit on the right hand of the throne and I'll leave you all alone. But he doesn't do that. He speaks up for us. The Father had him do it. Speak up for us. Praise the Most High. He got us. Praise the Most High. He got us. We say he's holding us down. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. Okay. That was chapter 3. Nebuchadnezzar ain't done yet. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Let me take care of this cough, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of the Shabbat. Be safe. Thank you, Akawan Banya. I appreciate that, brother. Be safe. Shalom.